Today's story is Blink by PA Nightmares. This has been going on for weeks. Little things at first. A lamp was on the other side of my room. The spots on my dog seemed to be slightly off. But now it's increasingly getting worse, like I'm looking into the mirror. My hair was lighter than it used to be. Mom's Ford is now a Toyota. When I asked her if she had got a loaner vehicle and what happened to her van, she said she's had this van for years. I figured I must have just gotten the makes of the van mixed up. I have never been much of a car person, so I let it go and went on with my life as if nothing was wrong. However, last night I had a dream of me sitting with my two best friends at lunch, talking about boys we thought were cute, and how we can't wait for school to be over because we wanted to go to the beach. The people in my dream were different from my real friends. For example, Angie's hair was now pink instead of blonde. My friend of 5 years, Jess, I now called Jessica, a name that she had always hated. Waking up from my dream, I began to get ready for school. After getting to school and suffering through a boring day, I was ready for lunch. Getting to see my friends had always been the highlight of my day. The bell rang to signal the end of 5th period. I got up and left the classroom, practically running to the cafeteria, elated to see my friends. Once they came into view, I noticed Angie's hair right away. Jess was sitting beside her as I approached, and I casually commented, "Hey Ange, nice hair." Angie gave me a very confused glance. "What do you mean? My hair's been like this for years." "Jess, back me up. Just yesterday her hair was blonde, right?" I stared at Jess, hoping for her reassurance. Jess glared at me before rolling her eyes in an exaggerated manner. "No, her hair has been pink for years now." "And why did you call me Jess? You know I like to be called Jessica." They both started laughing at me, like I had suddenly become the punchline of the world's greatest joke. "Come on, you two. The joke is over. This isn't funny anymore. I know you had blonde hair just yesterday, Angie. Also, Jess, I know for a fact that you hate being called Jessica. You tell me often that you hate it when your mom calls you Jessica because it sounds too formal and you hate formal. For crying out loud, I've never even seen you wear a dress." I was slowly getting both frustrated and distressed. Were they just messing with me? My friends then looked at me with concern clear on their faces. They stood up, putting their hands on my shoulders. Angie spoke up. "Hey, are you feeling okay, girl? Why don't we get you to the nurse? We don't know what's wrong with you. If you're sick and have a fever, but you're not acting like yourself at all." Not wanting to argue, I let my friends escort me to the nurse's office. After getting there, I told the nurse I was feeling ill and would just like to go home. "What seems to be the matter, sweetie?" the nurse asked me while feigning concern. I just don't feel well. I'm not acting like myself today. I think I might be coming down with something." I really didn't think explaining that my entire world was changing around me was going to do me any favors in this situation. The nurse checked my temperature. "Oh my, you do seem to have a small fever. Let me call your mother and have her come pick you up." "Thank you. May I go lay down until she gets here?" "Of course, sweetie. The beds are just over there." As she nodded her head towards the cement-hard bed that I was sure was older than I was. I headed over to the beds and laid down. I was thinking of how strange the day turned out to be. Just yesterday I knew that my friends were different, but just like all the other stuff that had changed, it occurred to me that I had dreamt it. Am I seeing the future? No, it can't be. That would not account for how Jess and Angie claimed that her hair had been pink for years. So, what is actually going on with me, and why me? I was so lost in thought that I didn't even hear my mom come into the office. "Where is she at?" I could hear my mom rushing in the room. She had never handled me even getting a paper cut well, let alone when I was actually sick. The nurse sighed. She was far too used to dealing with parents like mine. "She's in the room, just over there. She wanted to lay down until you got here." Mom came in to check on me with a concerned expression and asked, "What's wrong, Kayla?" I don't know, Mom. I just started feeling ill. I was starting to get very confused. It's probably due to the fever. I just want to go home and rest, Mom." I knew there was no way I could tell my mom what I was actually thinking. Okay, sweetie, let's get you home and in bed. My mom draped my arm over her shoulder and carried me to her car, almost like she was sure that I was dying. It didn't seem to matter to her that it was just a fever, and that I was perfectly capable of walking on my own 2 feet. On top of the fact that being carried out of my school in front of my friends like I was a baby was super embarrassing, and I knew I would never live that shit down. Getting home, I went up to my room and laid down. Falling asleep quickly, I was plagued with horrible nightmares. In this nightmare, I was looking down as my 2 best friends were being hunted by a creature with glowing red eyes. It looked like it had no physical body, almost as if it was a manifestation of pure hate, and the only thing visible was its glowing red eyes that shined in the darkness. My friends ran through the house, screaming in terror, and as they entered the living room, I could see that Angie's parents lay dead on the floor, ripped apart by something. I assumed this entity was responsible for the carnage. Angie stopped to look at her parents for a brief second. Her father was completely disemboweled, his organs strewn across their once pristine carpeting. Her once beautiful mother was mutilated beyond recognition. Her body was shredded, and even more shocking was that her mother seemed to be missing her head. Angie screamed in anguish at the sight of her parents. Her screams deepened with panic as 4 slashes formed on her back, and her blood began to flow freely. Jessica came rushing over and helped her up off the floor. They staggered together, trying to escape their living nightmare. They kept running, but it was absolutely pointless. The entity caught up to them in the blink of an eye. Had Jessica just left Angie there, she might have gotten away. But she could not leave her friend behind to die alone. Now they stood cornered by this monstrosity and had nowhere to run. The creature lunged, ripping and hacking at them, tearing off limbs. The entire time, the girls never stopped screaming. I jolted upright in bed screaming, thankful that it was just a dream. I looked over to the door, and I saw the pair of glowing red eyes boring into me. With a thud, I hit the floor. Falling out of bed, I realized that the eyes in my doorway were just another bad dream. I ran into my mom's room. I need to go to Angie's. She's in trouble. I just know it. What do you mean? Mom asked me. I screamed. Angie is in trouble. I need to save her. Mom got up out of bed. Fine, if you think she's in trouble and it will calm me down, then we'll go to her house. We got in the car and raced to her house. I ran into her house just to witness the bloodiest thing I could ever see in my life. Just like in my dream, Angie's parents lay dead on the floor. Body parts littered the entire living room, and a pool of blood sat in the exact spot where Angie had been attacked. I rushed into the next room, and I wailed as I saw my 2 best friends mutilated beyond recognition. My mother must have heard my screams, because she came running into the house only to cry out in shock. She pulled me off my 2 dead friends and called the cops. I fought with her, not wanting to be separated from them. Soon, I was outside sobbing on my mom's shoulders as we spoke to the police. I was so upset the police didn't even bother trying to talk to me. I wasn't injured, and my mom told them we had only come over because I had forgotten some school project, so the police let us go home after a few hours of questioning at the scene. Mom took me home to rest after the shock of finding the massacre. What was happening? Everything I dreamt had come to pass. It's almost like I'm the reason that this is all happening. The world would be better if I never existed. If my friends were still alive, how much better would the world be if my dreams were actually just dreams? At this moment, an idea came to me. If I caused the change to my friend's appearance, and if I was responsible for my friend's gruesome demise, then why couldn't I dream that I was never born? Or that I maybe died before all this happened? Yes, that would be perfect. Then none of my friends or their families' lives would have been ruined because of me. A plan took shape in my mind. If I could lucid dream or even control my nightmares, then I could go back to before I was born and stop all of this from ever happening. So I looked up how to lucid dream, and what came up was a checklist of things to do before bed and throughout the night. I started off small. I set an alarm for anywhere between 3 to 5 hours after I fell asleep. I started keeping track of my dreams in a journal, and when I would fall back asleep, I would try to do what they call a reality check. Looking into a mirror to see if my reflection was normal, pressing my hands against solid objects to see if they would pass through. The most common one I used was pushing my palms together. Slowly, I could tell the difference in when I was dreaming and when I was awake. It took me months, and I still didn't have a very good handle on it. However, I did manage to not have any dreams where I killed anyone else. Little things did keep changing, like my teachers were different and such, but I learned to live with it, knowing that once I got this down and I carried out my plan, none of this would matter anyways. The night finally came. I decided I had the control to choose where my dreams went, and then I had the ability to choose what I would do in them. So that night, I laid down in my bed for what I thought would be the last time, and I focused on my mother before she met my father and had me. It worked, but not in the way I had expected. Last night, I dreamt that my mother was about 18 years old and had died in a car accident. When I woke up this morning, everything was different. The house I live in, my bedroom, my mom was nowhere to be found, and only pictures of my dad and his side of the family hung on the walls. Nowhere could I find a single picture of me with him. Even now, as I sit here typing this on my father's laptop, I am slowly fading from this world. So if you ever find yourself questioning reality, like maybe your room changed slightly or your dog looks different, maybe you should find a way to control your dreams, or better yet, just stop dreaming altogether before you end up hurting the people you love or blinking yourself out of this reality. Kayla's father got home and opened his laptop to a document he did not write. His brows furrowed as he skimmed through the pages. After reading it, he commented to himself, "Damn, another oracle that did not work out. I can't seem to figure out why this keeps happening. Next time, maybe I should warn them about the dreams when they're young. They always seem to start after puberty hits. The Oracle of Delphi seems to have been the only one who could handle the weight of these abilities." Oh well, on to the next one. His eyes started to glow a vibrant blue as he sighed, almost as though he was disappointed in himself. He slouched as a tear ran down his face, and slowly every trace of him and his former life vanished from the house. Thunder clapped outside as the last photo of him disappeared. Some people swore they could see a bearded man's face form in the storm clouds that night, but just as quickly as the storm started, with a blinding white light, it was gone. Hey there, friends. I hope that you enjoyed this wonderful story, which was once again Blink by the ever-wonderful PA Nightmares. PA Nightmares is my current and only patron, however you say that. And he's an awesome guy. For signing up for the $10 a month patron section, he got a free poster. He is going to get a free poster that will be signed by Raven, me. And it is an exclusive poster you can only get by donating through Patreon. Does that interest you? Check it out if so. Anyway, yeah, this story was awesome. PA Nightmares is a great guy. He's written another story on this channel, The Stranger's Call, which was the cell phone one with the Banshee, which was a really, really cool story. Yeah, and he and I talk a lot, so he's just a great guy. And if you guys enjoyed this and would like more content like this, or content that is absolutely nothing like this, like Raven Investigates, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And then once you hit that subscribe button and it changes colors, hit that bell next to it and select all. Just don't select none, because then you never get notified. By doing this, by hitting that subscribe and bell, you join the Nevermore. You can also support the Nevermore by doing things like liking me on Facebook, following me on Twitter, joining my subreddit, or supporting me on the aforementioned Patreon, or there's also coffee if you're not into monthly donations. All of these things help the Nevermore grow and become something much larger than just me. If you choose to support the Nevermore, I just want to say thank you. Sorry, I'm still working with this new microphone, so it has a monitor so I can hear myself, and it's really, really interesting. I actually like it, so that's why I'm whispering a lot, if you haven't noticed. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great day and a fantastic week. I will see you on the next video, but until then, my friends, my lovely listeners, my great people, the people I call my own, those who click my videos and listen to them, please sleep well.